That was
Welcome to Stochastic NFL live before lock for Sunday Night Football. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. You can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. I'm here with my old pal and your old pal, EMac. You can find EMac on Twitter at EMac DFS. This show is sponsored by Owner's Box. We'll talk about Owner's Box a little bit more later on, but the bullet points, you use the link in the description of this video. When you sign up at Owner's Box, you're going to get your first deposit matched up to $500. That is going to be a drip bonus, not going to come all at once right when you deposit, but it'll happen over time. As you play, you'll get your money back. You'll have your deposit doubled up to $500. On top of that, you get a couple $5 tickets, one of them being to a lightning lineup ticket, essentially a cash game, and then a second to whatever $5 contest you want to play. All of that if you use the link in the description of this video when you sign up for Owner's Box. Of course, you must be 21 plus to play in most places. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. EMac, how is your Sunday going?
Going a little bit better with that Deebo Samuel touchdown there. That hooked up my FanDuel lineups. It was kind of interesting. I build one main lineup on each of the three sites. I write a free article every week, Neil, utilizing the lineup generator, and then that informs me. I make a combination of like a main lineup, so I put it in cash games as well, and then it tends to have more upside. And it was an interesting exercise seeing what to do with Zach Moss. So I was able to figure out a couple ways to still have him in my lineup, because even though he dudded, which was, of course, an outcome that is always in play, I was able to come up with a unique enough lineup around that I'm doing okay across the nice. Yahoo, FanDuel, and DraftKings. So free article, again, it's on the homepage every week, launches Saturday around lunchtime, free from Stochastic.
Very nice, very nice. I'm very much in need of a Devontae Smith catch. I need to get over that 100-yard bonus. I think that I will then cash in my $50 single entry, so that'll help me a little bit. I'm not going to make money on the main slate. I'm hoping to, come close to breaking even. I won't even come close, but that'd help a little bit if I can get something from Devontae Smith here at the end. That's all I really need. Are you ready to talk about? We've got the Chiefs, we've got the Packers, a lot of moving parts. Players who were out last week are in this week. Are you ready to talk about it?
I'm good to go.
Right, well, let's start at quarterback then, which Patrick Mahomes, Jordan Love. Who do you like? Who are you playing tonight? Who are you playing at captain? How are you constructing lineups with the quarterbacks? Are you forcing pass catchers with them? What are you doing?
So let's start off with Mahomes. That's the easiest. He's arguably the top captain tonight, rivaled by only Travis Kelce. So they kind of stand out above everybody. Mahomes had, at least as of 90 minutes ago, he had only Kelce was within 5 points of him on DraftKings, and nobody was within 5 points on FanDuel. I think it was Jordan Love that was the next closest. I am playing Mahomes at captain with recommending requiring two pass catchers. So that's a little bit of a difference. In the utility spot, I'm requiring one pass catcher. And then I did not include any of the running backs in that. Obviously, Jerick McKinnon is out again. And Pacheco, I think you could put him in there, but I wanted to go more with the passing games. Did you include him in there? I think I might put him in there for the field. Well, let's talk through that for a sec, because he's getting about 5 targets a game. So he's not invisible in that, but he's not really the pass catcher, a pass catching back like we think of it. Are we overlooking that?
Yeah, I mean, so the reason that I'm including Pacheco are one,
am I overlooking that? I guess not we.
I don't know. I think that it's viable to not include Pacheco as a pass catcher. So there are multiple reasons that I am. One of them being with McKinnon out, Pacheco just seems to see more targets in general. He takes on more of that passing back role. Part of it is also like Mahomes spreads the ball out enough that you could almost play him naked. I mean, you could if you're 150 maxing. Mahomes is the type of quarterback who, even though he doesn't always run a ton, he's run a little bit more this year. He runs when he needs to. So if he needs to run tonight, he will. But even outside of that, he spreads the ball around so much that like the usual like if the quarterback's going to get there, he's going to bring a pass catcher along with him, unless he's a rushing quarterback. It's a little bit you'll see Mahomes get there without a pass catcher a little bit more frequently than other quarterbacks, just because he does spread the ball around so much. Like Rashee Rice might help him, might score a touchdown for him, and it might be a 5-yard touchdown, and that might be his only catch of the game, or Kadarius Toney, whatever. There are a lot of receivers that you could throw the name in there where that could happen. On top of that, he's got Travis Kelce, who is very expensive. So Kelce can put up, 8 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. He still might not be optimal. Like, so you could still you have Mahomes in there without Kelce. So I make the rules a little bit more lenient with Mahomes because of the way he spreads it out, because of Kelce being so expensive. So just, I am requiring a pass catcher with Mahomes. I'm not playing him naked anywhere, but that's part of the, kind of concession that I'm making, is I'm including Pacheco as a pass catcher, because I do think that it is viable to play Mahomes without any pass catchers. So that's kind of my approach to it.
Some would call that the Brittany, I think.
The Brittany, huh?
Playing Mahomes naked.
That's I was thinking Britney Spears immediately.
It's EMac
immediately
after
I went to
dark.
Britney Spears, and I was
jokes.
like, "What are you talking about? Doesn't make any damn sense, EMac." Okay, I get it now. Yeah, no.
And just for that, there are 15 $1 head-to-heads in the DK lobby. Team free money is back. Username EMac. Enjoy.
Obi-Wan says, "Well, Obi-Wan, come on, you watch enough shows that you know EMac's sense of humor. You know exactly what he's going for there." All right. Jordan Love. So we talked about Mahomes, how we're constructing with Mahomes. Anything different with Jordan Love?
Yes, actually a little bit. Only requiring one pass catcher with him in the captain spot. And I am trying to decide, do I want to include one pass catcher with them in the flex? And my thought for that was initially today, no. But now that I look at it, everybody's healthy for the most part from the Green Bay receivers. So we, it's been a couple weeks where we've pretty much had everybody, but that now includes Dontavian Wicks as well. He missed the last game, but he is, as far as I know, active tonight. The inactives were Samari Toure and Aaron Jones, and then
Josiah DeGuara, if that matters.
Josiah DeGuara, the tight end. That's an important one. And then on the other side, Jerick McKinnon really was the only major inactive there. But I ultimately decided there's enough pass catchers there that if somebody does get a touchdown, I would like it to be with Love. And there's a good joke there as well. But we're not going down that path. But that would be kind of the approach I would be looking at. And that was a change from when I wrote up the article. By the time I got to the end of the article, free on the homepage right now for Stochastic, I decided to make that rule. But I have very few other rules other than pass catcher multiplier guys with their quarterbacks. That's really it this week. I'm not doing too many other things.
Yeah, and I think that I'm less restrictive in general with my rules than you are. So yeah, no crazy rules for me. All right. Should we move on to running backs?
Yes, I think we got everything.
And we got a request to they went for the TD with the they didn't get there. I saw that. I saw that they didn't get there. Bummer. I saw a request to do a lineup together and then break it down for us. So what we're going to do at the end of the show is we'll go over the lineup generator. I'll pull it up. We'll take a look at the lineups being generated by the lineup generator, and we can go over those with you is what we're going to do. So that's, rather than making one ourselves, we'll get one. And of course, every single lineup you get in the lineup generator is plus EV. So you know that going in. Devin Eamon, man, he says, I may lose because of the Tank Dell injury. That is so brutal. Everybody, has Tank Dell in their best ball lineups in their season long. He's out. Yeah, he's going on the IR. They already said that he's going on the IR. Puka was hurt too, and I don't know if he is out like now for, I don't know. He was in and out of the game, and then I thought I saw people saying it might be serious, the last one, but I don't remember if he came back into the game. Yeah, a lot of rookie injuries that were kind of unfortunate. All right, we can talk about these running backs. Let's start with Pacheco, CEH. Anybody you want to talk about on the Chiefs? What's your level of interest there?
All righty, so let's look at the Chiefs here. So this will be the second straight game without McKinnon. Last week, Pacheco had a season high 78% snap share. Clyde Edwards-Helaire played on 12 plays, and then LaMichael Pirine played 1 offensive snap. So the interesting thing is that Clyde Edwards-Helaire has suddenly fallen out, or not suddenly, but he's out of favor, right? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he was the guy, right? And not so much now. I've tried to decide, does Andy Reid just like to get foolish or sneaky, if you will, on primetime games? Is it just a function of the Chief constantly being on primetimes? But it always seems to be we get snake bit by some random running back. Looking at you, Derek Gore, for the Chiefs each time. So that's where I was about to write off Clyde Edwards-Helaire and not even put him in my player pool. I decided to keep him in my player pool. The interesting thing is this does not feel to me like this is, oh my God, I got to jam in Isaiah Pacheco. He did not make my cash lineup though, and that made me a little sad. So I'm going to make up for that a little bit in tournaments. And that was something I did not expect when I was writing my article here. 8 different running backs have at least 60 rushing yards against the Packers, and the Packers are allowing 135 rushing yards per game. That is the 6th worst in the league. It is going to be cold tonight. Temperatures are right around freezing. The snow, there was some earlier today, and they were trying to make it sound like it was going to be a snow game today, but it was not supposed to be. I have not looked at the forecast in the last 2 hours, but I'm pretty sure it's not snowing. So that is ultimately I came out of this thinking that Edwards-Helaire is a punt option. He's just 6,000 now. Think about that. Just 6,000.
Wait, 6,000 or 600?
FanDuel. He's 6,000
on FanDuel. Gotcha.
Which
He's,
their
yeah,
minimum is
2,600 on DraftKings. Yep.
He's 2,600 on DraftKings. But he did have 2 red zone looks last week.
Yeah, he's really interesting.
Back to the Andy Reid, what is he? Is he putting stuff on film because everybody's watching these games and makes them think about it? No, I think Andy Reid just gets creative around the goal line. That's all.
Just all the time. Yeah, exactly. CEH definitely interesting at 7% ownership. Doesn't look great in our tools in terms of optimal odds. We have him, I guess, 0.1% captain ownership, 0.2% captain optimal. So positive leverage there. But in the util, we've got CEH at 7.2% projected ownership, 2.4% chance to be an optimal. I still have some interest there just because the price tag, I think that it's kind of a moving situation. We don't know exactly, clearly they like Pacheco enough that Pacheco is going to be the bell cow, but it's at least kind of promising for CEH that he did come in and played 12 snaps last week, 20% snap share to Pacheco playing 78%. And that was still Pacheco played the 78% of snaps that Pacheco played last week was a season high. So then with McKinnon out, they gave him some increase, but they still didn't want to play Pacheco every down. So they use CEH as that RB2, which I think is promising at 2,600. I think that he has some standalone value just because he could score a touchdown. It wouldn't be that surprising to see them go back to CEH in the red zone. And then, of course, he has massive contingent value also in case of an injury, potentially a blowout, those different situations where he could come into the game, get a little bit more run. So I like CEH actually as a large field tournament option. Not going to work out all that often, but he's also not getting a ton of ownership. So I definitely have interest there.
Would you play them together?
I would totally play them together. What's the price tag on, let's see, Pacheco is at 10,200. 10,000. It's a little bit tough, but if they're able to run all over Green Bay, which as you said, Green Bay has been not the worst run defense in the league, but they've had games where the other team is able to get it done against them. So potentially, if Pacheco plays 60% of snaps, CEH plays 30%, scores a touchdown. I think there are ways for them to get there together. I don't love it. If I were hand building 5 lineups, I probably would not play them together. But if you're playing 10 plus lineups, then I would have interest in playing the 2 Chiefs running backs together. Does that make sense?
Yes, that sounds fair.
And then what about the Green Bay running backs?
Do we have to play them? Okay, everybody step away from the computer, go to your toolbox, get a hammer, come back, put your thumb on your desk and hit it, and then decide, do you want to play AJ Dillon or not? Because it's going to feel the same way. I got nothing else. He 4 games he has had the backfield to himself. 4 games. This will be his 5th game without Aaron Jones. And in those 4 games, he is averaging 15 carries. Ooh, that's a hefty workload for 52 yards. Well, that's 5 fantasy points. He must score all the time, right? No, 1 touchdown in those 2 games. In those 4 games. In those 4 games, he has only 5 targets, 4 catches, and 46 yards. So doing some math here, that is not good. That was my attempt at math. He's averaging just over 65 yards per game in the 4 games without Aaron Jones. And the Chiefs' defense is for real this year. They're allowing 16.5, 16.6, I forget which, points per game, which is the third best in the league.
Well, what about, I mean, so you're talking about AJ Dillon, who I agree with you. Like, I don't think he's particularly talented. He's had opportunities, doesn't ever seem to get it done. But then we have Patrick Taylor also. So do you want to go over your interest, if you have any, in Patrick Taylor? And if you don't, then I'm happy to, because I do.
Patrick Taylor, $2,000. He will be in the EMac cash game lineup. He played 48% of the snaps last week. That was every snap that Dillon did not play. I don't think they played together. That added up to 100%. So usually, if it adds up to a little more than 100%, then I assume, like when you're eyeballing tight ends, etc., you can figure out if they were running 2 tight end sets or how often that way. But they looked like they were just perfectly 1 for 1 there. What did he have? Like 3 carries and I think 1 target for 4 yards. So not great, but $2,000. He was on the field half the time. And the guy in front of him has not got it done in the first 5 chances when he was the lead bat. 4 chances. What do we think? Are we expecting something different the 5th? I don't know, because it's a 1-game slate and it's the NFL, so he could have 3 touchdowns tonight. That would be Dillon. But let's go with Taylor. There's a joke in there. We're running out of time, but something about Dillon, Taylor, and Friday Night Lights. Did you ever see Friday Night Lights?
I did watch Friday Night Lights.
Coach Taylor of the Dillon Panthers.
Oh, yep. Good work there, drawing connections. Yeah. I couldn't. It's been a while, so I don't really remember all the names, but happy for you.
Like 10 or 12 years ago. It was a long time ago.
Longer than that. Oh, for sure, longer than that, because I watched it. Yeah, back when I lived in Boston, a long time ago. All right. So yeah, Dillon. Taylor to me is really interesting. Looking at week 12, so we saw in week 11. AJ Dillon played 72% of snaps. Patrick Taylor was maybe inactive for that one. Aaron Jones started the game. And then week 12, AJ Dillon played 29 snaps. Patrick Taylor played 27. So it was really very even in the last game. And maybe we're seeing a trend toward Taylor being more involved. Really, it's hard to know. It's a small sample size, but it's at least promising to see Taylor taking on more of a role in that last game. Yeah, 48% snap share. He only had 3 rushing attempts. But he did run routes on 42.4% of dropbacks, saw 1 target. I think Patrick Taylor, typically you can expect to be involved in the passing game also. So at 2,000, with the potential of just completely splitting the backfield, being that much less expensive than Dillon and being more of a pass catcher, I'm really interested in Patrick Taylor at 2,000. We do have Dillon projected 5 fantasy points better, or nearly 5 fantasy points better. So I don't want to make it sound like they have the same projection, we have the same outlook, but it seems to be trending more in Taylor's direction. So I have a lot of interest in Taylor. I'd say of the running backs, he's probably the running back that I end up with the most exposure to on this slate. Are you seeing it the same, EMac?
Yes, because I have him in my cash game lineup, but I will be in tournaments. I'm going to try to get more Pacheco, but he will be the number 2 guy among the running back options. No questions. Yeah, I'm just not. If AJ Dillon beats me, he beats me. So be it.
EMac update. I am now making back 12% of my entry fees. that Kyron touchdown. Great, really great. No, I mean I'm losing 90% of my entry fees approximately. That Kyron Williams touchdown did not help me. That was I had some Kyron Williams, but I was bubbling. I had gotten back to the bubble in my single entry, and that just knocked me out of the single entry. I also hate it for best ball because I don't have much Kyron Williams.
That's no bueno.
Yeah, I was really, really hoping for a down game for Kyron Williams against the Browns. I thought that the Browns would be able to stop him and stop the bleeding of he's crushing all of my lineups, trying to get into the top 10,000 leaderboard on Underdog. So that's brutal for me for the Kyron Williams touchdown. Hopefully we can make it back tonight though. All right, you ready to talk some wide receivers?
Mike Evans is just
that's Evans another almost a full fade. I think I have 3 Mike Evans entries in Best Ball Mania 4. I thought that he was one of the easiest. Godwin to some extent too. I was like, man, I don't think that they have much juice left. No Tom Brady. They got Baker Mayfield, and man, that has been a couple of my more brutal fades went off today. So that was hurtful. All right, wide receivers, starting with whichever team you want to start with. Who do you prefer to start with?
Well, let's start with the hard one first. That would be the Kansas City Chiefs, because who knows what is going to happen. That is the definitive answer, Neil. Who knows? Yeah. So trying to read the tea leaves with the Kansas City Chiefs is almost impossible. The easiest, McCole Hardman, don't play him. He's out. He's on the injured reserve. Okay. Kadarius Toney didn't play last week. I think he missed last week. He's back. He was dealing with the ankle and hip issue. Thanksgiving has got me confused because that felt like a full Sunday, so I've lost track of how many Sundays we have passed. But Richie James was back from the injured reserve. He was on the field for just 9 offensive plays. I think he has the kick returning and punt returning duties back. However, Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, both perfectly capable of those roles and have done it in the past. How many people remember Sky Moore and his Butterfingers with punt returns just last year? So I'm not excited about any of those guys. Then we have Justin Watson, who won 3 targets, 1 catch, 1 touchdown. That's yay. The last time we saw him on a primetime game, what did he have? Like a couple touchdowns and like 11 targets or something. That was an outlier. He's no longer cheap, which makes him a tough selection because he's probably worth 3 or each one of these guys is really worth 3 or 4 targets. And then Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Guess what? He's back. He's back in Lambeau Field. Was that worth anything to us?
Oh, interesting.
Does he
I hadn't even thought about that.
Sprints differently? Well, here's the other thing. His best year there was 2020, pandemic year, with he only had 6 touchdowns that year. Felt like he had more, didn't it? It's not
really. I don't remember him having a great year ever.
I remember him catching touchdowns on primetime games. They literally almost have came on primetime games.
Okay, I suppose that's fair. I remember Byron Pringle being the primetime guy.
He was another Andy Reid creative player. Hey, he and who was the other guy I mentioned? Derek Gore. Aren't they both still on the Commanders this season, or did one of them get cut? I've lost track of the Flotsam Jetsam in the league, but funny little note there. So do we have a rousing endorsement for anybody? Kadarius Toney? Not really. Richie James? Not really. Rashee Rice. Okay, the rookie. Didn't mention him enough. Getting around 5 targets every game. Was up to 10, which was a season high in his last game, but he's not cheap and he's still a rookie, right? And that's can be a little bit tricky, but he would be the person I guess we're most interested in. Number 2 would be Justin Watson, but number 1 on the charts and in our hearts is Taylor Swift's boyfriend, Travis Kelce. Leads the team in targets, even though he missed the first game. And word has it that much, you know, like how NORAD tracks Santa on Christmas Eve, so you can see where he is, so all the little kids can watch on TV where Santa allegedly is. The Kansas City Chiefs faithful are tracking Taylor Swift's plane, which is flying up from South America, where she was on tour, and making sure it's going to make it to Lambeau Field in time. But rumor is, if this matters to you, Taylor Swift should be at the game tonight. I have not confirmed that officially with my own eyes, but that's what the article I Googled just a few minutes ago said. So. Played Kelce, small vote of confidence for Rice, and then the other guys, you any one of them could catch a touchdown, and I would not be shocked. Yeah, and that's what 5 other people. Like even Richie James, if Richie James caught a 7-yard pass for a touchdown on some third read from Mahomes who did a behind the back pass to him, would you be surprised?
Yeah, not at all. We have Mecole Hardman is out. We have Mecole Hardman out. We have Justin Ross out, so we can cross those guys off. But there is Toney returning.
He hasn't been active in about 5 or 6 weeks, I don't think.
Yeah, but we had Mecole Hardman was out last week also, and he's out again this week, so that's helpful. But we do have Kadarius Toney returning. Yeah, I hate Chiefs showdowns, and I know, and we get them so frequently because it's we the last time it was nice having cheap Justin Watson, and at the time he was had just taken over getting the most target share, so it was a pretty easy call on Justin Watson is my favorite of the receivers. This week it is tough to find a Chiefs receiver that we really want to play with Justin Watson up at 5,200 now. I'm going to be spreading it out. I mean, Rashee Rice, maybe he's been coming on a little bit more recently. Maybe that continues. He is a rookie. It wouldn't be that shocking to see him continuing to improve. 67% snap share last game for Rashee Rice was his second best of the season. He had 68% in week 9, but promising to see him up to 67%. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, EMac. It's really hard to find somebody that you love to play of the Chiefs pass catchers. To me, it's largely just mixing and matching. I'll play, sprinkle them into my lineups, but there's nobody that I love of the Chiefs wide receivers. Are there any Packers wide receivers that you do love?
Yes, there actually are. So, everybody's a first or second year receiver for the Packers, right? So it's kind of like not a lot of experience for any of them. Jaden Reed is probably my favorite. He does have 5 carries. I believe it's for 43 yards over the last 2 games. That it's not like he was really. I mean, I guess a couple of the plays he actually was kind of more like the running back than anything. So it's not all just sweeps, but he could be someone, if Dylan falters, and he gets the Ty Montgomery role, if you will, sort of as that hybrid role. We could see that. I like him. He's probably been the most dynamic.
I can't hear you right now, EMac. You are frozen for me. Chat, can you confirm whether EMac is still here?
I think
now I see you. Now I see you. Okay.
My dog just walked over all the cords on the bottom of my feet here. So
okay. All right, gotcha.
I think she hit something. We'll be careful though. In any event, sorry, Watson missed the first 3 games. That is Christian Watson. So that allowed Jaden Reed to kind of establish a bit of a rapport. Luke Musgrave was becoming a key play. He's on the injured reserve now. He's a tight end, different position, but it's one less talented pass catcher there. But Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson and Jaden Reed are kind of coin flips. I slightly put the Doubs below the other 2, but you can make arguments that he's been out there the most and has the most games now with Jordan Love. I don't know. I mean, we're parsing hairs, but these 3 are all in play. I have each of them for just over 5 targets each in this game as their baseline floor, and there's going to be another 8 or 9 that go to them. I don't know how those 8 or 9 break out. Somebody could get 10. They could all get 7, right? But the point
maybe
is,
Dontavian Wicks takes them. Yeah,
maybe Dontavian Wicks down there at $800 or whatever on DK gets 2 or 3 of them, right? I think he gets 1 or 2, but if he had 4, would that be a shock? No, but I think that's kind of where that distribution is going to be. So I'm comfortable playing any of them. I don't think I have a favorite between them. It was slightly Jaden Reed, but here's the question. I have enough to maneuver it to play him in my cash lineup if I want. I've got Watson in there right now, Christian Watson. Do you have a preference between those 2 guys? Because I've gone back and forth. But the rushing. But then I look at it and go, yeah, but Christian Watson is a more dynamic player and he's finally healthy. what do I do, Neil? Neil, I'll give you my login so I can blame you. You choose which player is playing my lineup.
Perfect. So in a vacuum, just who I would expect to score the most fantasy points, it would be Christian Watson for me. He's also cheaper than Jaden Reed, so I think I have a slight preference for Watson, but he's also getting slightly more ownership. So that's the kind of the offsetting factor. Slight preference for Watson. Just looking through the past 2 games, looking at route participation, Christian Watson 80.5% route participation led the team. Romeo Doubs number 2 at 74%. Jaden Reed number 3 at 72.7%. As you said, Jaden Reed could be involved a little bit in the running game also, so that does boost him a little bit. He also does have the most targets of the 3 of them. Jaden Reed with 13. Doubs with 10, Christian Watson with 11. It was at least promising, I think, on Thanksgiving to see them immediately toss it downfield to Watson. Like they were targeting him early in that game. I thought that was promising that they were taking the shots there. Man, it's really close. I think I'm with you that Doubs is number 3 of the group for me. It's really close between Reed and Watson as my favorites. I think slight preference for Watson, but that is very close between those 2. Yeah,
I need to break it. Taylor Swift is at the game. She's wearing a very red long coat, high-heeled black boots.
Thank you for that important update.
And it looks like there are snow flurries at the moment. I don't think there'll be any accumulation during the game. But the original weather reports I said there wasn't going to be snow, but it's right around freezing. So there could be right. It's like in Seattle when I lived there for 20 years. It hardly ever snowed on the ground, but there would be skips and flurries a fair amount of the time that just never accumulated. Yeah. So they can come and go quickly.
Nate says Travis going ham. I mean, it's inevitable at this point. When Taylor shows up to the game, Travis is going to go ham. We all know how it goes. Flim Flam says short skirt, long jacket. Yeah, it's a good look. It's a good look. Good song too. All right. So any interest in any other than the big three for Green Bay? You playing any Dontavian Wicks, Heath, any of the other receivers for Green Bay?
So Dontavian Wicks was the short list guy for my cash game. I ended up not going with him. I ended up going with Noah Gray, of all people. But I feel like he probably has a little bit better touchdown upside because everybody's healthy now for Green Bay, or the vast majority of their pass catchers are healthy. We didn't even mention Malik Heath. He's kicking around. Dontavian Wicks. The only one who's out is Torrey, and he's just inactive. So it gets a little tricky there. If it was a quarterback different than or other than Jordan Love, who had a little bit more touchdown potential or touchdown equity, if you will, I'd probably be more interested in these guys. If any of these guys had Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback, we would be talking about how we wanted to get at least two of them in our lineups. That is not the case tonight, so we have to keep that under consideration. But it becomes the prisoner's dilemma, right? We're just going to choose incorrectly more often than not with these.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. Yeah, exactly right. You just have to accept it. It would be Dontavian Wicks would be next up for me beyond the big four as far as the receivers go. He didn't play the last game, but in his last healthy game, 31.8% route participation. Did see 5 targets in that game too. So 2 games ago when his last active game.
Somebody was out in that one.
Let me
was
see.
Watson out in that one?
No. Everybody was in. They had Dobbs, Reed, Watson were all active. Heath was active. Yeah, no, he was weak. So actually, Dontavian Wicks, he was out in week 12, but prior to that, 33% snap share in week 11, 44% week 10, 32% week 9. Like he's been the past 4 games that he's been available, he's been active for at least over 30% of snaps in all of them. So I think he's showing a little bit of promise, promising that in his most recent game he saw 5 targets at least.
Yeah, that was. I'm getting fear of missing out, and then I just need to remind myself that Jordan Love is their quarterback, and the Chiefs' defense is actually for real.
True, very true. Yeah, I'm going to be playing some Dontavian Wicks. Actually, wait, what is his? We have his ownership at 14%. Yeah, he's a really strong point per dollar play, and he's not getting crazy high ownership. It certainly could fail. Like if Dontavian Wicks scores 0 fantasy points, I think that's going to happen. I don't know, 40% of the time he'll put up 0 fantasy points, and 80% of the time he'll put up less than 6. So it's not going to work out that great for us all that often. But I think that he's out there enough that he could put up a score. If he gets targeted 5 times again, I'd take that. I'd lock him in if I knew he was going to get 5 targets again. I don't think that's obviously not a guarantee that he's going to be targeted at all in this game. And it is a tough spot with the Chiefs defense, but yeah, I have some interest there.
Okay, so here's the question. Yeah, here's the question for you. I haven't done the math. Let me just do it real quick. So my 2v2 basically was Noah Gray and Christian Watson, and I think it was Dontavian Wicks and not the God bless it, I can't think of his name. The Jaden Reed. So
sorry, say it again.
Would you, if you had a 2v2 between Christian Watson and Noah Gray, would you go with Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks on the other side? So it's Wicks and Reed versus Watson and Noah Gray.
I think I'd probably go Watson and Noah Gray, just because, Noah Gray over the past 2 games, 27% route participation, only has 4 targets. But honestly, I think Noah Gray is a very similar play to Dontavian Wicks, like not going to work out all that often. You'd expect him to get some targets. And it comes down to Noah Gray is being targeted by Patrick Mahomes against the Packers defense, whereas Dontavian Wicks is being targeted by Jordan Love against the Chiefs defense. So I think that, I would go with the Noah Gray side of that one. All right,
and that sort of takes us to tight ends. So that wraps up.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Blake Bell. There's the Belldozer. There's your mention. I believe he has 2 or 3 targets in total this season. He did catch a touchdown in week 1 when Kelsey was inactive. I think he had 2 or 3 targets last year with a touchdown. There's our mention of him. Why is he called the Belldozer? He was the quarterback. He would come in as the running quarterback inside the 10-yard line and I can't remember, one of the Texas teams, I think Oklahoma or Oklahoma State.
Okay.
But yeah, he does more blocking. Noah Gray is actually a decent tight end. And if Travis Kelsey wasn't there, he would be more of a common name within fantasy sports circles.
To put things in perspective, EMac, over the past 2 games, Blake Bell has run a total of 4 routes with 0 targets. In the past 2 games, Noah Gray has run 24 routes and 4 targets. So yeah, pretty big difference between the two of them.
Yeah, Gray is a complete tight end. He just and yes, Kelsey doesn't necessarily totally play tight end with the amount of times he split out wide and in the slot, et cetera, et cetera. But Gray would be like one of the countless Cowboys tight ends we've seen over the years, right? Yep. He's like perfectly capable, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that guy's pretty good. He just gets overshadowed on this team.
I'm going to appease the people who want to talk about FanDuel a little bit as we go here. I'm gonna pull up the tools EMac so we can just show people what things are looking like currently in the top showdown and single game tool. We can see who looks like the best captains, who look like the best optimal utility plays, etc. on both sites. So I'm gonna pull that up here as we are talking about tight ends also. But before I do that, Mick, we got a couple super chats that I want to touch on. Starting with my friend Freshka says best ball playoffs can't come fast enough. I agree. I can't wait for the best ball playoffs. And then Ali Chabar says need help in PPR. Do I start Dillon or Reed or Watson? I think Dillon projects, like if this is a season-long question, let me actually look at the projections before I give bad advice here. I think Dillon, we have Dillon projected for about 11 fantasy points. We have Reed and Watson. They're honestly all very, very close. We have
They're
Watson
all within 1 point of
7
each other,
and Reed at 10.1.
If it's full PPR, I would probably go Watson.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Yeah, they all project so closely. It's really tough. I feel like Dillon probably has the highest floor. Would you agree with that, EMac?
Yes.
Whereas Watson probably has the highest ceiling, and Reed is right there with Watson as far as ceiling goes. So if you need 5 fantasy points, I'd probably just go to Dillon. If you need 15, I'd probably go to Watson. Yeah. Do you agree with that, EMac?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'll let you continue talking about the tight ends, EMac. Have you finished talking about I guess you didn't even talk about Kelsey yet, so you should probably.
So we kind of hit on Kelsey. He obviously leads the team by like 30 targets. He's among the he's on a per game basis, he's among the top 10 wide receivers in a lot of categories. 2 years ago, he was like among the top 5. So he's basically a receivers, age 34 season. We know what we're getting. He's got amazing chemistry with his quarterback. The other guy was, and I'm blanking on his name because I didn't know.
No, Ray, Blake Bell.
Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft. So we talked about the Beldos are hardly going to play. We talked about Noah Gray. He's cash game viable. Tucker Kraft is the last man standing, essentially, for Green Bay with Josiah DeGuara out and Luke Musgrave out. So, but he's 4,200 on DK. You do have Ben Sims, who I believe was an undrafted free agent, but he is just 200 on DraftKings, and he did get a target in his last game. He has just 3 targets on the season, but he was well out of the picture before Musgrave and DeGuara have been injured.
Okay.
Real quick here. Any interest in James Robinson? No.
That's
as far as I can tell, he is active, but no.
Yeah, Daniel McCollum says, cake basis here. Any interest in James Robinson? I have not fact checked whether the cake bassist is named Daniel McCallum, or if I think he's just referencing the long jacket, short skirt and the long jacket. So yeah, I don't have any interest in James Robinson either. I thought he was cut, but we do have a projection, I guess, on James Robinson. Yeah, I still don't think I'm going there. Just the last game, it was 52%. Dillon, 48%. Patrick Taylor. I'm putting my eggs in the Patrick Taylor bucket rather than James Robinson. I'd be surprised if James Robinson does anything. All right. And for people asking, what do the Sims like? And let me wait. Have I pulled it up yet? Give me 1 second. Yes. No. So you can see it on the screen right now. So this is not the Sims tool on the screen, but this is the top showdown and single games tool, which is all based on the stochastic Sims. So this shows you who shows up optimal the most in the stochastic Sims. So in terms of captain optimal odds, this is the percentage that each player showed up in these stochastic sims. 13% Mahomes in the captain spot, 13% Kelsey, 10% Pacheco, 10% Jordan Love, 7% Watson, 6% Reed, 6% Dontavian Wicks, 5% Chiefs defense, and then down from there. So these are the players showing up optimal most in the captain spot in the stochastic sims, and then the util. And this is for DraftKings, by the way. Mahomes, optimal 58% of the time in the util. Kelsey, 49%. Jordan Love, 48%. Pacheco, 43%. Watson, 31%. Down from there. So this is, gives you an idea of who the sim's like, because this is all based on the stochastic. Now, every time you run the sims, it's going to be slightly different. So this is based on the latest running of the sims for this, but gives you kind of an idea of who looks good in the stochastic sims currently. All right. Anything else that you want to talk about with the tight ends, EMac? You talked about, I think, all of the primary tight ends.
No, I think we kind of hit on everything there. Belldozer is not really in play. The Kraft he got the boost on DK, which makes it a little bit tough, but he is the main guy there. But he is their third string tight end, and then obviously Kelsey is amazing.
Are you sure that he's the third string tight end? I'm not sure that he's not there, just straight backup.
Kraft, he's not just their straight number 2 behind DeGuara. I went back and forth, and I was trying to look into that. I think he was more of a blocker than DeGuara.
Yeah, I mean, he's a rookie, so he's, we haven't seen much of Kraft in the past, but I think that he's athletic. I think that he actually could be a decent NFL tight end. Who knows? I think it's kind of undecided at this point. But I remember in the offseason when everybody was talking about Luke Musgrave, there were Kraft truthers out there who thought that Tucker Kraft might be the guy. Yeah, I think he's got a little bit of talent. So at 4,200,
I mean, he has two targets in each of the last 3 games. One of them he had 3 targets, and 2 of those games came with the other guys healthy. So
he also played 96% of snaps in the last game. EMac did Tucker Kraft?
Last man standing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's true, but it's like DeGuara. I don't think we had any.
And how many routes did he run?
Wait, sorry. Week 10, he played 51% of snaps when DeGuara played 7%. Week 11, 42%.
Yeah.
Well, DeGuara played in week 11 too and played 1 snap, whereas Tucker Kraft played 30.
Oh, that was okay. No,
okay, so I think that Tucker Kraft, I consider him the tight end 2 on the team. But I mean, not that it really matters because DeGuara's out, so he's to some extent, yes, he is just the last man standing. But I think that he might actually have.
It matters on Showdown, Neil. Tight ends get extra power on Showdowns.
Yeah,
you know this. Didn't someone win with a 3 tight end build?
I won with a 2 tight end build.
2
not 3. Okay. Not 3. All right. Defenses and kickers. You want to go over that? I'm going to flash FanDuel here so people can see what FanDuel is giving us.
Up there. Defenses real quick. Kansas City has 3 or more sacks in each of in 6 of the last 7 games. They have 5 interceptions and 4 fumble recoveries in those 7 games. Green Bay is allowing 3 or more sacks each of the last 5 games. The Packers are on the season have 12 turnovers, so that's 1 per game. Kansas City has allowed 2 or fewer sacks in all but 1 game this season. I believe somebody got them for 3. Though they do have 19 turnovers. That is the 5th most in the league, and that is Mahomes is going to end up with a career high in interceptions this year. It's just kind of the way it is working out. Green Bay has only 12 takeaways, much like their 12 turnovers. They have just 12 takeaways, and the Packers are recording 2.4 sacks per game. On the kicking front, we have Harrison Butker, who is probably the 3rd best kicker in the league. He is very, very good. Butker has not missed a single kick this year. He has made all 20 field goal attempts and all 28 point after touchdowns. The other thing you want to remember is Kansas City gets very cold and windy in the winter. So being an outdoor kicker he's no stranger to that. Anders Carlson is the brother of Daniel Carlson, who's the Raiders kicker, who is, I think, the 2nd best kicker in the league behind Tucker. Anders not having a good year. He has missed 3 of his 7 kicks. Pardon me. He has made just 3 of his 7 kicks. So he's missed 4 of his 7 kicks from 40 yards or beyond. He has also missed 3 of his 23 extra points. I believe he was a 6th round draft pick. Could it be rookie jitters? I don't know, but he may not be as good as his brother. So he makes me a little more nervous than Butker does.
And defenses.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you your level of interest in the defenses.
I'll come in around the field. Nothing
Okay.
crazy. I prefer the KC defense. I would rate them higher if this one was an Arrowhead. They ranked 9th on. I'm gonna drop my article in here so you guys can check it out because I spend about 3 hours writing it every game. So I would put Kansas City. I said would have been higher if this was a home game for them, and I had them 9th. Green Bay I have them 15th overall. It's just Mahomes doesn't take sacks.
All right, I am throwing the lineup generator into chat also, and we are going to take a look at the lineup generator, some lineups for both FanDuel and DraftKings here. We're going to start on DraftKings, and we're going to take a look at some FanDuel lineups also. EMac, did you have anything else that you wanted to say about the slate in general before we do that?
Gotcha. What have you uploaded your lineups yet?
I have.
Okay, I'm going to work on that real quick. I've got all my rules built out.
You do that, and I'm going to show people the lineup generator. So reminder, guys, this is $14.95 per week. It includes DraftKings and FanDuel. It includes every primetime Showdown slate. It includes the main slates. All of that included for $14.95 per week. And again, every single lineup you get in the lineup generator has been run through the stochastic sims, like 40,000 sims, something like that, and has been found to be profitable across 40,000 different simulations. Doesn't mean it's going to win every time, but it means over the long haul, these are lineups that are, over 40,000 slates. These would be profitable lineups. So I think it's a fantastic deal. Just put the link in the description if you want to check it out. Just $14.95 per week. All right, we're going to look at some DraftKings Showdown lineups to start. And I'm going to actually do all lineups. So we're going to get a mix of chalky, balance, and contrarian lineups when I do all lineups here. I'm also going to use the standard projections. If you have a feel for how the game is going to go, that's what these 4 buttons are for. You can choose different game scripts if you want to. We're just going to look at the standard projections, though. All right, first lineup we see here, we have, and you asked me if I would play both kickers from Kansas City. You see it in the very first lineup. Isaiah Pacheco in the captain spot with CEH in there as well. Shows up right away. Mahomes, Richie James, Travis Kelce. This one looks, it shows up. It's a pretty contrarian lineup here. We got Jaden Reed, the only representative from the Packers in this one. I don't think this one would be duped a ton. It's obviously not going to work out all that often. But I think that this works. Like, this makes sense to me as a large field GPP lineup with the low owned Richie James, with the combo of the 2 running backs that people don't usually like to do. I think this is a lineup that's probably not going to be duped a ton, leaving 700 on the table. So I think this, looks good for a large field GPP. Wouldn't play it in anything that's fewer than like 1,000 entries. If you're playing a contest that is fewer than 1,000 entries, I wouldn't play this lineup. But if you're playing something that has 5,000, 10,000 or more, this looks, and especially for a really large field, I think this makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna, EMac, do you want to weigh in here, or are you working on your lineups? Do you want me to just keep working through this?
On my lineups. Yep.
Okay, good. Then I will continue.
I do like the main call out on that though, Neil, is yes, it's the low Richie James, and it's the combination of those players. And that's something we're seeing more and more now that we have the lineup generators and the sims and all of that. You can just see how it's a combination of, are any of those bad plays? Well, Richie James isn't a great play, but we gave that to, hey, what if he caught a 7-yard touchdown? Would it shock you tonight? No. Okay, so that means he's alive. Plus, you're not donking it off with like the Belldozer. It just makes sense, and I think that's something we're seeing more and more with the sims. And while Showdown is not solved yet, this is going to push it to be even closer, or not. While it's not, it's still you can still win at it. It's getting tougher and tougher and tougher, but this is going to accelerate. It's going to spread people out with the heavy dupe trains. Hopefully they start to come down for the savvy people. For you savages that want to tie and see your names in lights, keep running those dupes.
That's right. All right. Dontavian, somebody just brought up Jair Alexander is out for Green Bay. That is a good note from Deegs. I just threw that up on screen. Yeah, Jair Alexander is out, and he is the best defensive player on Green Bay. Helps with the pass catchers a little bit, having Jair Alexander out. Race Fan says he hit for over $1,000. Say congrats to Race Fan. That is awesome. Nice. All right, I am going to continue looking at the next lineup. All right, so this one we're leaving 2,800 on the table. Jordan Love in the captain spot with Dontavian Wicks and Tucker Kraft. So he's got the multiple pass catchers. That's my preference. If I have Jordan Love in the captain, is multiple pass catchers from the Packers. Then we have Patrick Mahomes with Justin Watson and Isaiah Pacheco. I like it. I think this looks like a great lineup again for a large field GPP. Wouldn't play this in something that's a small field tournament, but for the large contests that have 100,000 plus people in them, I think this looks like a great lineup. You've got the nice correlation with Jordan Love. You're leaving salary on the table. Wouldn't expect it to be duped a ton. Yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense for a large field GPP. All right. Now this one, we have Travis Kelce in the captain spot and then a full-on Green Bay onslaught. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe Travis Kelce puts up, a couple touchdowns, 100 yards. He does all the damage for the Chiefs. Then you have A.J. Dillon in there with Jordan Love, and then Jordan Love is paired with Romeo Doubs and Tucker Kraft. Packers defense in there as well. Maybe they score a defensive touchdown. This, again, looks like a fine large field GPP tournament, only leaving 500 on the table. But again, you see that workout pretty frequently. Like I've been sort of surprised by how few dupes some lineups have had this year. And this looks like one that, even leaving 500 on the table, just 500, I still think that this one probably not going to be duped a ton because we have several players that are not getting to a crazy amount of ownership, and we have no Patrick Mahomes in here. So it does have some factors that are going to bring down the ownership a little bit. So yeah, I think this makes sense for a large field GPP as well. All right, we have 9 minutes left, so I'm going to take a look at one more, and then we're going to move over to FanDuel. All right, so this one, we've got Jordan Love with Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, and then the running back Patrick Taylor, who is involved in the passing game as well. I like it. I like that combo. And then we have Mahomes with Kelce, obviously his top pass catcher. This one makes a lot of sense to me. We're leaving 1,600 on the table. This one honestly might be my favorite of the lineups that we've looked at because we've got Jordan Love in the captain spot. Fairly contrarian, sub 10% ownership with 3 pass catchers here if you include Taylor, and then we have Mahomes and Kelce. So you're playing a lot of the chalk, a lot of the best plays on the slate, and still it's a lineup that I wouldn't expect to be duplicated a ton. You need Wicks to do something here at 800, but he's out there enough. Again, he 5 targets his last game, so totally plausible. All right, I'm going to go through. Let's take a look at the highest owned, and then we'll take a look at some FanDuel lineups also. Looks like it's giving me 40. We got to 53% Pacheco, 47% Jaden Reed, 40% each of Mahomes and Kelce, 30% Dontavian Wicks, 28% Love, Dobbs, Rashee Rice. All right, I'm going to move over to FanDuel in the interest of time now. And again, guys, I put the link into chat, so if you want to check this out for yourself, you don't have to wait for us to do this. If you just get it yourself, you can play around with it, get your own great lineups. I'm again going to do all lineups on FanDuel. I'm going to use standard projections. All right, first lineup we have here, Jordan Love in the MVP spot with Patrick Taylor Patrick Taylor at 5%. That's really interesting to me on FanDuel. He's a little bit expensive for his role at 9,500, but that's the kind of play that I really like on FanDuel, where you can get players who have real roles come in at really low ownership when the price tag isn't quite right on them. So I really like that. That looks really great to me on FanDuel. And then, of course, Romeo Doubs in there as well. And then from Kansas City, we have Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco. This one's leaving just 500 on the table. So my guess is that this lineup will be duped a little bit. But again, Taylor coming in at pretty low ownership, maybe won't be duped that much. We can dream at least. Looks like a nice lineup to me, and fairly contrarian having Love in the MVP spot. All right, Pacheco with Chiefs defense. So I like that. Pacheco in the MVP spot with the Chiefs defense right away. We've got Justin Watson in there, and then Jordan Love with Christian Watson. This one leaving 3,000 on the table. This makes a ton of sense to me because we've got Pacheco paired with the Chiefs defense. So you're not expecting Kansas City to do much through the air. Maybe a low scoring game. And then you have the Chiefs defense against Jordan Love and Christian Watson. Hopefully the Chiefs defense scores a touchdown for you. Maybe Jordan Love still connects with Christian Watson for a touchdown or 2, and then Pacheco goes off. Looks like a lineup that makes a lot of sense for a large field GPP. Leaving 3,000 on the table, probably not going to be duped a ton. So I really like this for a large field GPP. This looks great to me. All right, Romeo Doubs in the MVP spot. Interesting. So now we have Dobbs in the MVP spot, Christian Watson, and Jaden Reed, and we don't have Jordan Love in the lineup. We have naked Mahomes and then the Chiefs defense. I don't love it, to be honest, EMac. So I know that every single lineup we get here is long-term profitable. I still don't love it that we have naked Mahomes and then we have 3 pass catchers from the Packers without their quarterback.
You know how they get there? They get there with the Geno Smith game from Thursday night. Multiple touchdowns, a lot of PPR, barely gets 200 yards. That's how that one works out. If Love.
Sure.
Love.
Yeah. No, that is a good point. Like they can certainly get there. It's not DraftKings, so this is just half PPR, but it's still
Okay.
on every passing play.
But still,
they're
that would
outscoring.
be the path to it. So
Yeah, absolutely. And somebody
and
asked,
I've
is
got this
Jordan
one
Love
uploaded.
a reasonable captain? Yeah, Jordan Love is definitely
Yeah.
a reasonable captain. I like it. I think that he makes a lot of sense at captain. All right, let's take a look at another lineup here. Patrick Taylor in the MVP spot. 0.3% ownership going to Patrick Taylor in the MVP spot. This one, I think, even though it's only leaving 500 on the table, I wouldn't expect this one to be duped a ton. Taylor with Dillon, Jordan Love without any of his primary pass catchers, but again, Taylor is involved in the passing game. So maybe for this one, you're hoping that Patrick Taylor scores a receiving touchdown and rushing touchdown. Something like that would be obviously awesome for this lineup. AJ Dillon still out there a good amount. Pacheco with the Chiefs defense, nice correlation there. All right, I want to find a more standard lineup. So this one, and I did all of the buckets together. So this one maybe a little bit more standard. You got Mahomes with Sky Moore, Isaiah Pacheco, and then both the running backs for Green Bay. I want to see if I can find a Mahomes MVP Chiefs onslaught lineup. I'm going to look for that kind of lineup.
There you
go. No, this is just CEH. Oops.
Well, but but Mahomes was the captain, and there was 3. Good. Oh wait, which onslaught? You said Chiefs onslaught, not Patrick.
Yeah, Chiefs onslaught. And here once again we get Mahomes with just Rashee Rice. All right, it's not giving me. So those are not popping up right now. The Mahomes Chiefs onslaught lineups.
There you go.
A lot of them just have one pass catcher.
Huh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Unless it's saying those aren't necessarily profitable, Neil.
Well, that's the thing. And I also did all buckets, so like we're not getting. Maybe if I went to chalk, it'll give me. Here, let me do that. I'm going to clear these lineups. I'm going to go back to. I think you have to go back to the start to get. So I'm going to go back to FanDuel single game. I'm going to go to chalky lineups here and see if we can find. Oh, chalky lineups, and I'm going to do Chiefs going over their
Chiefs
total.
Down.
I could do both going up. I'm just going to do Chiefs. All right. So now let's see if I.
Yeah. So while you're searching for one, so you get the lineup generator for all 3 primetime slates, and you get it for FanDuel and DraftKings, and you get it for the main slate, FanDuel and DraftKings. So again, I write that article every week where I break down both for FanDuel and DraftKings. I try different settings, run a 20 lineup set, and see what happens. This week I ran contrarian just to show that you could still get contrarian and have Zach Moss in your lineups. And it was easier to do this week because nobody was. There was kind of the 3 main quarterbacks, but you could easily go to other quarterbacks like Sam Howell, who got a tiny bit popular towards the end. But someone like that, or Baker Mayfield was coming up with Mike Evans. I wish I would have played some of those lineups, Me too. It's a fun way to look at things. And then after I write that article, that's what I use to build out my hand-built lineups. I already know what I'm trying to do. I've written down certain combinations, and then I see what fits with the inactives. Like this week, you had the cheap tight end out of nowhere for $2,500 on DraftKings. So you wave off David Njoku. Also broke down why I thought Njoku wasn't a great play. Eric Lindquist broke it down for the same reason. Said Flacco a lot better at downfield passing. DTR not as good, which is why he was just hammering Njoku with targets, etc. Is that why it worked out? No, but it was a good reason to get away from him on someone who's popular. But these are fun ways to look at it. There's your onslaught deal.
Yeah, here it is. Closest thing to an onslaught we've had. Mahomes with
used all the salary
and MVS. Yeah, that's kind of what you're probably going to get if you have Chiefs onslaught. Maybe not. But yeah, that's kind of what I was looking for. I was wondering if I could find any that have multiple like primary pass catchers. Here we go. Wait, Moore and Kelsey. There's a full onslaught. So Mahomes with Pacheco, Sky Moore, and Travis Kelsey. Just Tucker Kraft on the comeback. This one's using the full salary. So my guess is that this is going to be duped a fair amount. Like this is the type of lineup that is going to be duped a lot. I would think in a large field GPP, a lot of chalky plays here. We do have kind of lower ownership going to Sky Moore, but in a large field GPP, it's still 8% ownership this is gonna be one of the lineups that he's gonna be in a lot, I would think. So looks good. Looks like a very solid lineup. But this is to me closer to a cash like small field lineup. Would you agree with that, EMac?
Yes.
Yeah, this is more of a cash lineup. All right. I just want to find one of those for, people who want to play a little bit chalkier.
Yeah. And just because it's a cash lineup, that could also cash in the tournaments as well.
Oh, absolutely. It could win the tournament.
All the touchdowns, you're going to be just fine. You don't want the random outlier games from somebody that's not in your core, because that's when you don't get a lot of your entry fees back.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have hit lock.
We're at lock.
Do you have any final words for the audience?
No, but we have NBA tomorrow. It was kind of fun not having NBA today, but we're back at them with the tournament, the in-season tournament, Neil. I'm kind of, I don't know that I'm intrigued, but we'll see what happens. There are 2 games tomorrow for that. There's Monday Night Football. The NBA does start at 7:30 tomorrow, as well as on Tuesday. So we get Boston and Indiana, New Orleans and Sacramento. It's fun pairings. We haven't, get to see that. It'll be a good time. And then you got Monday Night Football. What's not to love? Oh, Neil, by the way, plus you get college basketball with Matt Gajewski's projections.
Oh, is that right? We get college basketball. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Basketball.
Right on.
This college football's over. No. We're saying, Matt, you go back to the campuses. Yeah. Boots on the ground. Say hi to the pretty girls.
That's right. And I'm sure he hates it. Yeah. And I'm sure that's exactly how his process works. He's on the college campuses talking to people.
If you guys haven't seen Matt is in Adonis. The guy eats nothing but protein. The only carbs he gets are beer. And he has like 3% body fat. He is just a very imposing fella. So,
all right. Wait, what was I? Oh, I was gonna say, the NBA in-season tournament. I got to be honest, I don't even know the rules for it. I'm not asking you to explain it to me right now. We can talk about that later. But I was going to learn the rules if the Timberwolves kept winning. If they kept it and they lost, I was like, all right, I don't really care about the in-season tournament anymore.
They're getting a break, Neil. They're recharging. They're getting refreshed.
Right.
That's the advantage if you don't make it.
Exactly. All right. EMac, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you all very much for hanging out with us for this hour. Hopefully we can win some money tonight, and we'll be back at it tomorrow for NBA, NFL, Monday Night Football. Should be a good time. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you haven't done so, and good luck tonight.